The Saddler dynasty was the first organized government uniting the people of Pohnpei Island, ruling from around 1100 to around 1628. The era was preceded by the Mohin Kawa or Mohin Aramis, and followed by Mohin Nonmerki. The name Delar was an ancient name for Pohnpei, today a state containing the capital of the Federated States of Micronesia. Pohnpeian legend recounts that the Saddler rulers were of foreign origin, and that their appearance was quite different from native Pohnpeians. The Saddler centralized form of absolute rule is characterized in Pohnpeian legend as becoming increasingly oppressive over several generations. Arbitrary and onerous demands, as well as a reputation for offending Pohnpeian deities, sowed resentment among Pohnpeians. The Saddler dynasty ended with the invasion of Asokalekal, another semi-mythical foreigner, who replaced the Saddler rule with the more decentralized Nonmerki system in existence today. Origins. The earliest settlers on the island were probably Lapita culture people from the southeast Solomon Islands or the Vanuatu archipelago. According to Pohnpeian legend, the main island was created by a party of 17 men and women from a distant land to the south who piled rocks on the surrounding coral reef. The island was inhabited by natives who mixed with the newcomers. Their numbers grew, but their society was in a state of perpetual anarchy. The Saddler dynasty began with the arrival of twin sorcerers Alasipa and Alasapa from the mythical western Katau, or Kanamweso. Alasipa and Alasapa were said to be much taller than native Pohnpeians. The brothers arrived in a large canoe seeking a place to build an altar so that they could worship Nani Son Sapo, the god of agriculture. After several false starts, the two brothers successfully built an altar at megalithic Nan Madol, where they performed their rituals. In legend, these brothers levitated the huge stones with the aid of a flying dragon. When Alasipa died of old age, Alasapa became the first Saddler. Alasapa married a local woman and sired 12 generations, producing 16 other Saddler rulers of the Dipwalap clan. The founders of the dynasty ruled kindly, though their successors placed ever-increasing demands on their subjects. Society. Rule was maintained by one man, the Saddler, at Nan Madol. The land, its contents, and its inhabitants were owned by the Saddler ruler, who leased the land to landlord classes overseeing commoners harvesting the land. The commoners were required to present the ruler with frequent tributes of fruit and fish. Tribute consisted mostly of breadfruit during Rock, the season of plenty, while it shifted to yams, taro, and fermented breadfruit during Asol, the season of scarcity. Seafood was also presented to the Saddler at designated times. The tribute system was initially seasonal, however over time, the demands of the Saddler left the populace starving and living as slaves, as they had to pay in labor and offer most materials first to the ruler. Public dissatisfaction led to at least 2 assassinations, but another Saddler simply rose in place of the last. Some common methods of recourse against oppression were defiance of orders and theft of property offered to the Saddler. A few Saddler were benign rulers. Inenen Mwai established an aristocracy, and Rapwenlong was a skilled magician. Others, however, were renowned for their cruelty. Sakon Mwai taxed Pohnpeians ruthlessly, and Rapwenlake used magic to locate the fattest Pohnpeians and eat them. Another, Kataperlong, is remembered for his gluttonous wife who was fed her own father's liver by suffering commoners at a banquet. She committed suicide, followed by Kataperlong. Saraden established the customary first fruits practice on Pohnpei. Administrative divisions. Pohnpei was divided into 3 Wei, or states, during the reign of the Saddler Muonwai. Kopwaling was the eastern division, subdivided into 7 areas: Wenik Paidi, Wenik Piadak, Inimwan, Ladau, Sini Pain, Lepenst, and Delar. In the west, Malenkopal comprised 4 areas: Wanonlang, Kepeling, Langpuel, and Ant Atoll. Pwapwalik in the north was made of Palikir, Sos, Tipwin Dongalop, Kamer, Nan Mer, and Pakan Island. The centralized system incorporated pre-existing lower-level divisions, and adopted the native chiefly structure. Later, U and Net became states in the north, making up the present-day 5 municipalities of Pohnpei. Sos was a prestigious region under Saddler reign, and Wanonlang remained largely autonomous. Areas of Kitty and Kepeling in the west had a reputation for defying the authority of the eastern Saddler. At the capital Nan Madol, the Saddler rulers developed a stratified title system denoting particular occupations, including chief advisor, food preparer, entrance guards, and dwelling guards. According to legend, the rulers of the Sadler dynasty were never concerned with military affairs, and the era is generally characterized as peaceful, though native Pohnpeians suffered and grew dissatisfied with the administration. Religion during the Sadler dynasty featured megalithic temples and funerary sites, food offerings, and oracular divinations. The central cult of the Sadler dynasty was at Nan Madol, where offerings were made to the thunder god Nan Sapway, or Dakatau, from whom the Sadler derived legitimacy. Nan Sapway was venerated natively by Pohnpeians. From Nan Madol, the cult of Nan Sapway spread to the other districts of Pohnpei. Other native cults included those surrounding freshwater eels and the deity Ilake. The Sadler made an unsuccessful attempt to introduce worship of their own deity, Nani Son Sap, to whom Pohnpeians offered only token homage. The Sadler rulers made the ravenous moray eel Nan Samuel an intermediary to Nani Son Sap, who indicated the foreign god was contented by devouring tribute in the form of a turtle. The priestly class, headed by the Sukaslang high priest, was powerful and influential in Pohnpeian society. The annual Kampa ritual affirmed Pohnpeians' dedication to the gods and spirits of the land. The Sakao ceremony was an elaborate affirmation of Sadler dominance, with much ritual surrounding the preparation and presentation of gifts to rulers. Food offerings reserved especially for the Sadler included turtles and dogs, both of which held ritual symbolism. Turtles represented the three major political divisions and held a central place in a myth where two brothers must sacrifice their mother, the life-giving turtle, to be eaten by the Sadler after they jokingly said they would sell her for a taste of the Sadler's dog meat. The dog held a further important position in Sadler society. The rules of the Sadler were enforced by mythical dogs called Aumatakai. At Nan Madol, remnants of turtle and dog status foods have been found. Downfall. The Sadler polity was conquered by Asoka-Lekal, who invaded Pohnpei from Koshrai, or the mythical East Katau. There is great variation among sources for the exact events before and during the invasion on Pohnpei. At least 13 differing accounts of the war are published. In most versions of the legend, the Sadler rule had become oppressive under its abusive centralized social system, and its lords had offended the thunder god Nan Sapway, sealing the fate of the dynasty. The thunder god Nan Sapway had committed adultery with the wife of the Sadler lord. In anger, the Sadler lord set out to capture Nan Sapway. The ruler also used the affair as a pretext to suppress the worship of Nan Sapway. Some versions include that the ruler had also incensed other gods of the Pohnpeian pantheon and divested the high priest of Sam who prophesied the Sadler downfall. These offenses, as well as the oppressive land ownership and tribute system, drew the ire of gods, humans, and animals alike. Nan Sapway, offended by the Sadler lord, left Pohnpei for Koshrai. Having fled, he impregnated a barren human of his own Dipwen Ponmei clan by feeding her a lime. This incestuous union produced the semi-divine Asoka-Lekal, who in the womb knew his destiny of vengeance. As an adult, Asoka-Lekal set sail with 333 men, women, and children with the secret intention of conquering Pohnpei. The embarkment consecrated by human sacrifice, a ritual widespread in Polynesian culture, but altogether rare in Pohnpeian history. On his way to Nan Madol, Asoka-Lekal received breadfruit kernels from the chief of Ant Atoll. In their culture, breadfruit kernels were the meal of warriors about to battle, and the offering constituted an invitation to do battle with the Sadler. While on Ant, Asoka-Lekal entered a romantic relationship with a native woman, demonstrating his intention to cultivate close ties with Pohnpeians and oppose only the Sadler. According to many versions, war broke out at Nan Madol after playing between local children and those from Asoka-Lekal's canoe escalated into a fight. In another version, Asoka-Lekal had his lieutenant provoke a local warrior at a prearranged encounter. Other accounts hold that Asoka-Lekal staged an insurrection after winning the trust of his hosts, and with help from the oppressed locals. Another version says that upon seeing the fortifications at Nan Madol, Asoka-Lekal decided to withdraw, but was aided by a scorned and outcast woman from the ruling family. In other versions, Asoka-Lekal's warriors are aided by hidden weapons that suddenly appeared. The tide of war reversed several times, but ended against the Sadler, who retreated with his army into the main island of Pohnpei. Legend recounts that the battle ended as Sadler Lord Sadamul retreated ever uphill to a stream, where he transformed into a fish and remains today. Asoka took the title of Nanmerki and assumed the seat of power in Nan Madol as had the Saddler dynasty before him.